Hey guys, today I have swatches of the OPI Fall Wonders collection for fall 2022. There are 12 polishes here altogether. I'm trying to set them down quietly, it's not working. 12 polishes here altogether. These are available at Beyond Polish, so I will link their website down below as well as my affiliate code, which will save you 10%. 12 polishes here altogether, and I'll get into the swatches. So the first polish is called Peace of Mind, and OPI describes this as an earthy cream mauve. Good formula on this polish. It was a little bit sheer on that first coat, but it did level itself out very nicely. The second coat did cover completely for me, and I really appreciate how even this polish was. So just a nice, solid 2-coat polish. Also, I'm sorry if you have to listen to my chair squeak in this entire video, because if I breathe too deeply, my chair squeaks. And I have hit every joint that I could find with WD-40 and nothing is working. We're just squeaking away. So that is 2 coats of Peace of Mind. The next polish is called Ochre The Moon, and OPI describes this as a warm cream yellow. Really nice formula on this one as well, and I love this color. I know the color is very controversial, it's very like love or hate, and I will admit it is a really ugly yellow, but I like ugly colors. This applied really well, it leveled itself out very nicely. It was a little bit streaky on that first coat, so I did end up adding a second coat, but it covered completely after that. So that is 2 coats of Ochre The Moon. The next polish is called Clean Slate, and OPI just describes this as a dark metallic gray. This was a little more sheer than I was expecting, but not bad. The formula felt good and the shimmer stood out really nicely. There are definitely some brush strokes, that's so hard for me to say, brush strokes in that shimmer, so make sure you're trying to paint those lines as straight as possible to minimize that. They do melt in a little bit as it dries, but you will still be able to pick them out a little bit, and this did cover completely for me in 2 coats. So that is 2 coats of Clean Slate. The next polish is called Claydreaming, and this is described as a neutral brown purple cream. Great coverage on this one. It was almost a 1-coater for me, but not quite there. And the formula feels really good on this one as well. It applies really, really evenly. I really don't know what happened here when I was painting my ring finger, so bear with me, I will fix it on the second coat. I just had some very minor flaws in the coverage on this one for the first coat, so I did go ahead and add a second, and that second coat covered completely. So that is 2 coats of Claydreaming. The next polish is called Medi-take It All In, and this is described as a purple cream. Okay, just a purple cream. This is a fantastic color, first of all, but it is also another really good formula, very smooth, levels itself out nicely. This did not cover completely in 1 coat, but it covered very well on the first coat. I did end up adding a second, and it easily covered in 2 coats. I wrote this little random observation in my notes here that just says that for some reason I felt like the color looked more cool toned on my nail, especially after that second coat was on, than it did when it was in the bottle. Do with that what you will. Apparently I thought that was important at the time. So that is 2 coats of Medi-take It All In. The next polish is called Suzi Takes a Sound Bath, and OPI describes this as an earth-toned blue, whatever that means. This is a medium blue with a little bit of pearly shimmer. This was also just a little bit sheer on the first coat, not terrible. Really good formula in this as well, and the shimmer did stand out really nicely. There are definitely some brush strokes in that shimmer. It's a very kind of pearl-like shimmer, which can usually be kind of a mess to apply if you want everything to look really smooth. This did cover completely for me in the second coat. As it dried, those brush strokes did blend in with the polish a little bit, but there were a few that were still there, especially once you get the color built up in the second coat. The brush strokes stood out a lot more. So that is 2 coats of Suzi Takes a Sound Bath. The next polish is called Rust and Relaxation, and OPI describes this as a warm rust cream. Something is happening to me lately in these bright, like orangey red shades where they're red, but almost a little bit orange. I'm really, really liking these lately, and this was absolutely not even close to what my favorite color would have been any time in the past. And this one is fantastic. Great coverage, levels itself out really nicely, nearly a 1-coater, not quite there, so I did end up adding a second, but it covered completely in that second coat. This is just so bright and loud and spicy, and I love it. So that is 2 coats of Rust and Relaxation. The next polish is called Red-veal Your Truth, and this is just described as a warm red cream. I feel like this is not super warm for a red, but I guess I don't really know what I'm talking about because I'm not OPI. Great formula on this one as well. It goes on very, very nicely. I was expecting this to be a little bit more of a jelly finish because I feel like with red shades like this, they always come off a little bit more jelly-like, but this was not like that at all. It was very creamy and very opaque, covered almost completely on that first coat. Not quite there, but it did cover completely in two. So that is 2 coats of Red-veal Your Truth. The next polish is called Mica Be Dreaming, and this is just described as a shimmery metallic gold. They called this gold, and I'll allow it, but it is a very, very pale gold. Very gloriously sparkly and metallic though. Really, really like this color. It is a little bit sheer on that first coat. Because this is more sparkly and less pearl kind of metallic, you don't really have a lot of brush strokes here, so you don't have to really worry about that. I did end up doing a slightly thicker second coat just to make sure that this did cover completely in 2 coats because it was pretty sheer on the first, but you do have a lot of metallic sparkle that helps distract from nail line. Either way, you might end up needing 3. I kind of doubt it, but it is a possibility. So that is 2 coats of Mica Be Dreaming. Next up I have Cave the Way, which is described as a black pearl. I will give them this one too, although I will say that the shimmer that's in here does give it a little bit of a blue tone. I wouldn't call it blue, but it's kind of got that bluey look to it. Very good formula here. This covers really well, a little bit sheer obviously, but it did cover completely in 2 coats. The shimmer stands out nicely, and while it is a little bit of a finer shimmer, the brush strokes didn't seem to be nearly as bad in this one as in the other fine shimmers that were in the collection, so no issues here. And once this second coat goes on, you can kind of see that there's a little bit of a sparkle in here in addition to the shimmer, so something a little bit bigger and I guess a little bit more sparkly than a pearly shimmer that's in the rest of the polish. So that is 2 coats of Cave the Way. Next we have, what is this called? Brown to Earth. This is described as a dark brown cream. Really good formula here as well. Just the tiniest little bit of streaks going on, uneven spots. Very, very close to being a 1-coater, not quite there. So obviously this did cover completely for me in 2 coats. I feel like this almost looks a little bit purpley on me. Maybe I'm making that up. When I look at it, it's definitely brown, like it's clearly a brown color, but it almost is starting to look like a very, very deep, slightly purpley brown. I don't know, I like it. So that is 2 coats of Brown to Earth. And lastly, we have Midnight Mantra, which OPI describes as a dark navy cream. This is a beautiful color, but the pictures on the OPI website definitely make this look like it's one of those almost black shades where it's super, super dark blue, and it's just definitely not that dark in person. This almost has a little bit of a jelly finish to it. It's a little bit sheer on that first coat, and it's got that slightly squishy look to it. No complaints on the formula here, and this did cover completely for me in 2 coats. I don't think this is a particularly unique color, but this is a really nice formula for this shade if you don't already have a color like this. So that is 2 coats of Midnight Mantra. I actually didn't even notice that this was not a city-themed collection, and spring wasn't a city-themed collection, and I don't know, I'd have to look a little farther back than that, but like when did OPI stop doing that? Maybe, I guess they didn't always do that, but fall and spring were usually cities. So whenever they stopped doing that, completely went over my head. But Ochre the Moon is going to be my favorite. This is so ugly and so awesome. I picked these 2 favorites from the Essie, just recently, from the Essie, what is this, Pencil Me In? Something like that collection. And I feel like this is like a little dark right in between these 2 shades, and I absolutely love it. So that is the OPI Fall Wonders collection for fall 2022. Again, those are available at Beyond Polish, so I will link that website down below, as well as my affiliate code, which will save you 10%. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later. Bye.